Hi everybody, Rob here from the Oyster House Boys, and in this video I'm just going to give you a little introduction to Erica Synths' new Fusion System 2, which is a very cool little skiff rammed with some really cool little valve modules and all sorts of toys and things that we can do. Now I'm not going to go into depth in many of these modules. I probably won't even touch the ring mod VCA, and we'll use a little bit of the modulator, but let's just give you a quick rundown of what you get. So if you buy this system, you get the skiff, and there's a lidded version and a non-lidded version. So if you're planning on staying in the studio, then just go for the non-lidded one, which is the one I've got here. You get two of these Fusion 2 VCOs. You get the Fusion VCF3, the modulator, and the VCA Waveshaper ring mod, and the Fusion delay flanger vintage ensemble. Now, I'll talk more about that in a bit because it's quite an interesting unit, and I think the name might lead you to think it's something that it's not. But let's just get started. I'm just going to keep this as my output as well, so I'm just going to keep the input for this to the dry. I'm not going to introduce any of this noise, and let's start just looking at just the VCOs. So I've got VCO 1 and 2 plugged into my filter, and I'm just going to increase the cutoff right up. I'll keep the resonance down for now, and let's just bring that in. Okay, let's just turn off all of the frequency modulation and pulse width for now. I'll turn the subs off and detune. So this is the kind of the mixed output of one of the VCAs. One of the VCOs. Now we do have a separate output for the triangle wave and the sub. Just let you hear that. So that's our triangle. We also have a square wave and a sawtooth, as well as the triangle. Do them together. So I've got VCO here on a triangle, and VCO 2 here on a square wave. We have FM level for each of these. And pulse width modulation built in. It's quite a nice sounding. It's only going to work on this one. We also have this detune control, which is a really nice detune. It's got a lot of breadth to it, which you don't get in some units. Crank them both. I'm going to introduce some sub to both. Just turn that back down again. And then we've got tube crunch, which is up a little bit here already. Okay, so let's have a look at our cutoff. Let's add some resonance. This is a 24 dB per octave, and it's a 4-pole filter. Now you can see we've got a record light here. Now what you can do is if you hit that, you can record incoming control voltage with an upper limit set by this control here. And that's useful for kind of repeatable madness, is what I would like to call it. This also acts as kind of like a mini mixer as well, because we have 3 inputs with this mixer section on the left here. Obviously 3's got nothing in it at the moment. Now, I'm going to skip any more of this. We'll look at that in more detail in a future video. But let's look at how we might be able to control that using the modulator. So the modulator is quite cool. It's got 2 channels of envelope generation with an offset control for the envelope generator level. We've got sample and hold rate and level. So let's look at using that. If I take let's just take an envelope generator to start with. And we'll go for Let's go for envelope generator 1, controlling maybe the frequency modulation of this VCO. Let's crank the upper level, because at the moment there's none. So we can trigger that with the button here. And this is a very long envelope at the moment, so let's speed that up. And these are both attack on, decay and off. Now that's a quite extreme example, so let's just turn down the level. Now if I take a splitter cable, let's just bring that back, you could then run either both the VCOs at the same time, which would be fine. Let's go. A little bit much. We also have here sample and hold, like I mentioned, so let's just put this into the sample and hold output. So we have rate and level. I'm going to crank the level right up. Turn my drives right down so you can actually hear what's going on. I'm going to change this to a sawtooth. Make them both sawtooth. Just slow that down a bit, and I'm just going to turn this off for a sec and look at the Fusion delay flanger vintage ensemble. So I think people think of a delay and they think it's going to be kind of like a stepped repeat or something, you know, like you might get from a Strymon unit or a standard delay pedal. This isn't what this does. This is more like adding kind of a thickness and a richness and a little bit of a kind of a movement. If you think of something like, say, a late 70s Roland vocoder, the ensemble effect you get in that, that's similar to what we have here. So I'll just crank up the dry wet to about 50-50 and just play with some of the controls so you can see what's happening, you can hear what's happening as well. So we have delay time. In fact, you might be able to hear this better if I just crank the wet right the way up. Color is like kind of a brightness control. We also have a little flick switch here, a little toggle for long and short delay. So long puts it into that kind of audible range. And now if I mix in the original source signal, one thing I should mention as well is that we have not just a wave selector, we also have colour, and you can darken the tone. Like so. If you want to drop to something a bit deeper, we have a plus minus octave switch for each VCO. I'm going to keep these up because I'll probably record a bit better, I think, for this video. Or I'll keep one in the middle. cable, and I'll introduce the envelope generator again, I think. So envelope generator 1 out, and I'm going to plug that into the CV1 of the Fusion cutoff. I think what I might do is just slow this down. Keep that envelope open longer. You can see with the intensity of the LED what's going on. So the time between the envelope being generated is set by this off control, which means it's really easy to kind of time when the generator works. Okay, let's go back to a dry signal, just turn that down. So that's been a kind of an introductory view of what this thing does. It sounds massive, as you can tell. All of these kind of overdrives and tube crunch controls bring in lots of kind of broadness and width and depth and kind of grit, which you don't get with a lot of Eurorack, which I really love about this. I think, especially seeing as I started out life as a guitarist, I have loads of like tube amps and pedals and stuff which I really like. And there's definitely a place for that kind of crystalline clarity that you get with digital Eurorack, but it's really nice to introduce some of this. So I'm really looking forward to playing with this a bit further and getting some more of these tones into like clouds, or controlling this maybe by marbles. I was going to do another video where I plug in a KeyStep Pro and sequence it that way, but I think maybe using marbles to control some of this would be really interesting. In the next week or so I'll do some more videos looking at each of these in much more depth. I haven't touched on the VCA, like I said earlier. We'll talk about that in a lot of depth, because there's an awful lot going on there and lots of power, and I think that really needs some kind of focus on its own right. But I've been Rob. Please do like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this, not just this, but the video as well. If you want me to look at something in particular, let me know. I'll be doing lots more of these Eurorack and standard synth stuff. So yeah, please do subscribe and click the icon to get notified about when new videos come out. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Thanks very much. I've been Rob. Bye-bye.